Good evening, Americans, and welcome to the Ed Show tonight from New York. Rush Limbaugh is being abandoned by his advertisers, but the multimillionaire king of conservative talk is still attacking a 30-year-old woman. This could be the beginning of the end for the man behind the golden microphone. Lots to talk about tonight. This is the Ed Show. Let's get to work.
Not one person says, well, did you ever think about maybe backing off the amount of sex that you had?
The attacks on Sandra Fluke have not stopped, and now Rush Limbaugh is complaining that he's the victim.
This is about silencing me, removing my voice as a credible critic.
The president has called Sandra Fluke. One candidate has weighed in. Another is running away. Major advertisers are pulling out, but Limbaugh's employer, Clear Channel, is silent on the matter. I think that needs to change. Karen Finney is here with the politics, crystal ball on the boycott, and I'll ask Reverend Al Sharpton if this is Rush Limbaugh's Don Imus moment. And the Montana judge who sent a racist email about President Obama is in more hot water today. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver of the Congressional Black Caucus says an apology is not enough. Congressman Cleaver is here tonight.
Good to have you with us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Breaking news off the top. Mitt Romney has just weighed in on the Rush Limbaugh controversy. We'll bring you his comments in just a few moments as we're racking up the tape. Rush Limbaugh has created, as you know, a media firestorm unlike anything we've seen in a long time. Limbaugh's outrageous comments about a Georgetown student, Sandra Fluke, are absolutely shameful. But Limbaugh has not backed down, and today he continued his vile and despicable talk about the 30-year-old college student you first met here on the Ed Show.
A woman, a law school student at Georgetown, has it reported about her that she's having so much sex she can't afford her birth control pills anymore. 30 years old, a student at Georgetown Law, who admits to have so much sex that she can't afford it anymore. You know, people tell me, I offered to pay for aspirins. I thought I'd been quite compassionate here.
This is disgusting for so many reasons. First of all, Rush has got his facts wrong. Perhaps the worst thing about it is that Limbaugh keeps deliberately misrepresenting what Sandra Fluke stands for. Fluke's testimony about contraception was not about her personally. It was about people with medical problems who need the pill for reasons other than pregnancy prevention. As she said in her testimony, the denials of contraceptive coverage impact real people. In the worst cases, women who need this medication for other medical reasons suffer dire consequences. The President of the United States understands this college student and her message. He called her today to show his support.
What did he say to you? He encouraged me and supported me and thanked me for speaking out about the concerns of American women. And what was really personal for me was that he said to tell my parents that they should be proud, and that meant a lot because Rush Limbaugh questioned whether or not my family would be proud of me. So I just appreciated that very much.
Fluke also pointed out that her parents have a different political persuasion than she does. But that doesn't stop Limbaugh from making more hateful comments.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I might be surprised with the answer I would get to this question. Your daughter appears before a congressional committee and says she's having so much sex she can't pay for it and wants a new welfare program to pay for it. Would you be proud? I'd be embarrassed.
So what do you think? Has this gone far enough? Where are the Republicans to call for an end to all of this? Well, Senator Scott Brown out of Massachusetts, he wants to get reelected in a blue state. So he said on Twitter, Rush Limbaugh's comments are reprehensible. He should apologize. You can bet if it was someone on the left, Brown would demand a resignation. Congressman Darrell Issa took the opportunity to blast Democrats. I find your narrow focus on this particular comment to be self-serving and dismissive of other inappropriate comments and attacks on Americans of faith. House Speaker John Boehner also had a mild response through a spokesman. The Speaker obviously believes the use of those words was inappropriate, as is trying to raise money off the situation. No calls for Rush's firing or even a temporary suspension from the right wing. The Republican candidates, well, they don't want to touch this one. A CNN reporter said when CNN tried to get Mitt Romney to comment on Limbaugh this afternoon, he walked right by our camera. NBC News reported Romney addressed Limbaugh's remarks tonight at an event in Ohio. Romney said, "It's not the language I would have used. I'm focusing on the issues I think are significant in the country today." Rick Santorum also had a weak response.
Well, he's taking, he's being absurd, but that's, an entertainer can be absurd, and he's taking the absurd, sort of point of view here as to how far do you go. And look, he's in a very different business than I am.
To diminish Rush as an entertainer is absolute nonsense. No broadcaster has ever been so connected to the Republican Party as this broadcaster. They're almost connected at the hip. In fact, in 1995, Limbaugh was made an honorary member of Congress at a 3-day orientation sponsored by the Heritage Foundation and Empower America.
The people that listen to 10 hours of talk radio a week or more voted Republican by a 3-1 margin. Those are the people that elected the new Congress. That's why this is the Limbaugh Congress.
This is a man with more power than most politicians. But now he's portraying himself as the victim.
I say this really with the absence of all ego. What this is about now is getting me. What this is about silencing me, removing my voice as a credible critic.
The absence of all ego? The only thing that will silence Rush Limbaugh is if his syndicator loses money, and that might not even do it. Clear Channel Communications did not respond to our request for comment tonight, but sponsors have responded to Rush's actions in a big way. Sleep Number, Sleep Train, Quicken Loans, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have dropped their advertising from the Rush Limbaugh radio show. Several other companies are keeping their distance, saying that they don't plan to advertise with Limbaugh ever again and will review their current advertising strategies. I have been in the radio business for 30 years. I have managed stations and dealt with advertisers upset with program content, even my own. Every station manager gets phone calls, complaints, et cetera, But the social media is descending upon Limbaugh and station advertisers like never before. The social media is a post for everyone to see that just doesn't go away. It's far more damaging and effective than an irate phone call from a listener. If this pressure continues, it could be Limbaugh's downfall, maybe his Waterloo. We can only hope. The fact that Limbaugh has doubled down, tripled the talk in day 3, and shown no remorse underscores this is just who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about a major media figure in this country attacking a college student for speaking her mind on Capitol Hill, being called a slut and a prostitute. Are there any boundaries? Here are your options. Put pressure on the advertisers at the local stations to force the change in the market, or let this conservative hate talk continue to have its place in the market. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: would you buy anything advertised on Rush Limbaugh program? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639, and you can go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. And I want to say one thing. There's been a lot of Twitter about Ed Schultz's comments last April about Laura Ingraham. I apologized. I had restitution. I took a week suspension. I took myself off the air. I didn't double down on day 2 or day 3 and continue on a tirade against a college student, a student that has no platform to defend herself. I think, Rush, you just need to man up, say you were wrong, and be done with it. And if you don't, you deserve to lose all of your advertisers, because right now, every program director in this country, I think, is really examining whether you're worth it or not anymore. We know the Congress is. You may have your right-wing nut jobs saying, go, Rush, go, and some right-wing bloggers who are behind you all the way, but we all know what you're all about. But now we really know what you're all about. You have no character. You can't fess up that you've made a mistake, and you're trying to justify yourself. That's what makes it bad. An apology, I found out, goes a long way in America. Joining me now is Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC. Reverend, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Ed.
You've seen this before. You were involved on the sidelines of the Don Imus situation because a lot of people in your community, in the black community, came to you and said, we can't put up with this. Are there similarities here?
Yes, the similarities are that you're dealing with innocent women. In the case of Imus, it was a basketball team of young women that were disparaged. And here is a young college student. The thing that is most offensive here is what you just said. Even Imus tried to apologize after it was a foregone conclusion and advertisers already withdrew. Rush is not even showing the decency that was displayed by Imus, who we felt had come too little too late. He's doubling down. He's attacking this girl. He's even implying her parents should be embarrassed. And it's a direct sexual assault on her. This is not an implication using sexual terms for something political. He is downright denigrating her and making direct references like she has some sexual habits that is causing her position, which is not only untrue, it is absolutely intolerable. I think that the advertisers coming off is the first stage. I think Clear Channel is going to have to answer. I think civil rights groups are going to join women's groups. And I think that this might be Rush's undoing by Rush. He can't make himself the victim. This young lady didn't do anything to him. Even after he kept doubling down, he's the one that did the offense. He's the one on the assault. How can you turn around and call yourself a victim when you've caused this whole scenario?
You know, in the last few years, Reverend, we have seen the social media have a real impact on change in business and society. Is the social media finally, maybe in your opinion, going to hold Rush Limbaugh accountable? He's never really had to do restitution for anything he's ever done on the air at all.
Well, no, I think that he has not, but I think the social media has the strength to do it. I think they're showing that, and I think that he's inciting it because he's almost daring us to come and get him, those decent Americans that are saying, this young lady doesn't deserve this, and she's representative of all young ladies. I have 2 daughters. He could do this to my daughters.
What do you make of Clear Channel's silence? They've been silent for 3 days. They've been called out in some media circles. We called them late this afternoon. We could not get a comment from them.
I think their silence will be seen as consent, and it will be unclear channel. I think that they've got to deal with the fact that in the corporate community, they are risking now any standing of credibility. And I think the Republican leaders that have come with weak responses have robbed from themselves the moral authority to say anything about anyone if all they're going to do is kind of sugarcoat an answer and try to use that to just attack Democrats.
Here's another one. Limbaugh says that this is a Democratic plan to get him off the airways. Here it is.
The Democrats are desperate, and why they want people to, well, I do know why they want people to fear me. This is all they've got is to go out and try to discredit their critics.
What's your response to that?
The question is that he's called this young lady a slut and a prostitute, neither of which are true. A young lady that went before a congressional hearing in the United States Capitol to stand for a position that she believes in. This is not about Democrat, Republican. This is about whether we have a country that people can use the public airways to disparage and slander a young woman going before the Congress of the United States.
And do you think this pressure will continue?
This pressure must continue on him and on the Montana judge that I'm joining Chairman Cleaver with in saying he must be removed. When you have federal judges now saying the president's mother may have had sex with a dog and he could have come out barking, when you have Lombard doubling down on 3 days in a row, this poison has to stop somewhere, and decent people of all parties and all races and all genders must stand together on this.
Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remember to answer tonight's question there at the bottom of the screen and share your thoughts on Twitter at Ed Show. We want to know what you think. When we come back, Crystal Ball was also attacked by Rush Limbaugh when she ran for Congress. She's organizing a boycott Rush. She will join me along with Karen Fitty for all the politics of it all. And we know, and we now have the soundbite of Mitt Romney reacting to Rush Limbaugh's remarks. We'll get to that. That's breaking now. And later, calls for resignation of a federal judge are mounting over his racist email about President Obama. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver of the Congressional Black Caucus will join me on that. Stay with us.